I'm going to talk about the subjunctive mood here, not in any specific term, so no, you won't learn how to conjugate a verb in the subjunctive, but as a way to help you understand what the subjunctive actually is. I remember when I first learned about the subjunctive, it was horrifying. I was a high school sophomore in French class. That's not the horrifying part. But rumors had already trickled down to us about the mysterious, complex thing called the subjunctive. It's so abstract, although I doubt we use that word. And the fact that no one really understood just what the subjunctive actually was made it scary, frightening, and, well, downright horrifying. Maybe it's that the subjunctive in French is more difficult. We see the subjunctive in Latin in a few classifiable uses, and this systematic approach towards the subjunctive, towards Latin in general, will make the subjunctive much easier. So first, let's define the subjunctive by what it isn't. The subjunctive is one of three moods in Latin, and English, by the way. There's also the imperative, these are commands like look or gimme, and the indicative. The indicative mood is really what you first learn in any language. Because of this, my students call this the regular mood of the verb, but really it's the factual form of the verb. It indicates things that have happened, are happening, or will very likely happen. So, with she eats pie, eats is in the indicative mood because it's relaying an action that actually is happening. The same for I had read the book. Since there are no facts in the future, unless of course you're omniscient, like Jupiter, and know everything in the future, the future indicative represents not future facts, but events very likely to happen in the future. Something like I will do my homework shows a likely action, rather than I may do my homework. The subjunctive, however, is used to show actions that are either not true, unreal, of a general circumstance, hypothetical, possible but not quite real, or hoped for, but may or may not come true. And as I said before, Latin uses the subjunctive in very specific instances. I'm going to illustrate some of the major uses of the subjunctive now and show you how these reflect the general idea of the subjunctive, the unreal, hypothetical mood. I've already talked about the imperative, the command like eat, but Latin uses the subjunctive to illustrate a mild type of command called the Jussive or Hortatory, something like let's eat. Notice, though, that just because I'm saying let's eat, it doesn't mean we're going to. We probably will, but just because a guy says to you, let's go to the movies, that doesn't mean you must. You can always decline. Similar to this is the potential subjunctive. We could go to the movies. There's a possibility that we will, but the future is still a bit unclear. And also related is the optative, the wish. I wish we could go to the movies. Talk about living in a dream world. Sometimes the subjunctive is included in a question that reflects doubt or even an impossibility. Something like, should I go to the movies? Or what could I have done? Again, these questions reflect unreality, if that's a word, and are a completely different plane from indicative questions like, what is your name? A deliberative subjunctive question would be more like, what should your name be? These four that I've talked about are the times Latin uses the subjunctive in a main clause. That is, they make up the sentence entirely. But most of the time you will run across the subjunctive in a dependent clause. That is, they aren't the main action, but a lower subordinate action. If this is confusing, you'll see in a second. Okay, so the subjunctive can be used to show the purpose of an action. I went to the store to buy cheese, or so that I might buy cheese. Here we have a real action. I went to the store. Yes, that actually did happen. And so we would use the indicative mood, not the subjunctive, for this part. But the buying of cheese, did that really happen? You may think so because that's the reason why I went to the store, but the sentence doesn't actually say that I succeeded in my purchase. Maybe I forgot my wallet at home. Maybe I decided to buy ice cream instead once I got there. Maybe I ran into an old friend and totally forgot why I went to the store. The truth is, the sentence doesn't say whether I actually bought cheese, just that I went to the store and my reason for going to the store. That's why the verb buy would be rendered into the subjunctive in Latin. The reality of that buy action is uncertain, and uncertain truths use the subjunctive. The subjunctive also shows the result of an action. So here we go. Yo mama's so fat, when she's in Rome, Rome has 8 hills. The truth of the sentence is that your mom is obese. This is the indicative. The result of her being so obese is that she's often mistaken for a hill, and this is the subjunctive. I was so scared that I was quaking in my boots. What's the actual statement here? That I was scared. And the result of this is the subjunctive, that I was quaking in my boots. You also see the subjunctive used in indirect questions. I want to know where the bathroom is. And this is much different from the direct question, where is the bathroom? You may respond to the indirect question, this first one, by pointing out where the bathroom is, but notice that it actually isn't a question at all. It's just stating a fact, namely that I want to know something. If we swapped out where the bathroom is with Latin, you probably wouldn't crack open a Latin book and start teaching the person. And if someone says, I want to know where the bathroom is, you can simply respond, oh, that's nice. Because the question isn't actually being asked, just referenced. And so Latin uses the subjunctive. There are also general circumstances with the subjunctive. When I'm in Rome, I always visit the Colosseum. I'm not actually in Rome right now. Oh, if only I were. So this is an unreal statement. But whenever I do go... And the last major use of the subjunctive is with conditions, not simple factual conditions like the vivid real future of if I study hard, I will learn much, but ones that aren't likely to happen, like if I were to travel to Antarctica, I would find lots of penguins there. I'm probably not going to travel to Antarctica, so this is a less vivid future and uses a subjunctive. There's also past actions that actually didn't happen. We can call these contrary to facts. Like, if I had learned Latin when I was 5, I would have become the greatest classical scholar ever. That actually didn't happen, so we would use the subjunctive. Okay, so I hope that I haven't made the subjunctive sound as scary as I thought way back when I was a sophomore in French class. In Latin, it really isn't frightening at all. Think about it in respect to the truth and reality of the action. Did this actually happen? If you can't definitively say yes, then you perhaps are looking at a use of the subjunctive.